All right, we're hunting late season turkeys. It's that second peak gobbling phase, maybe even after that second peak gobbling phase where they're really not gobbling at all. And the birds are starting to change. They're reacting differently. It's been a long season. They've received some pressure. Them toms have been getting their butts kicked all season long by the rest of the boys. And, you know, the hunting's getting tough. But it's still doable. You can still get a bird on the ground. During the late season, during that second peak gobbling phase and after that second peak gobbling phase, you really got to tone it down. You got to be less aggressive. The only time I'm aggressive during the late season is if I see a bird who I think will respond well to aggressive tactics. And that's usually not going to happen. That's usually not going to be the case. So with that, I don't get really aggressive. You know, I don't get out there and I don't cut at him a lot. I don't, you know, give him a bunch of loud yelps. I'm more reserved. Soft yelps, clucks, purrs, softer calls that's going to coax him in. You know, he's had a lot of pressure. He's been hunted all season. He's got his butt kicked by the boys all season long. Those toms have been fighting. So be soft, be gentle with him, and finesse that bird the rest of the way in. But that said, birds aren't henned up as much now. Those hens are off on the nest. So you could get a bird that's hot, that wants to come in, that wants to fire up, that wants to come to the call. And if he does, just give it to him. You know, take his temperature, and if he wants it, give it to him. So you've got to read turkeys, and that's really all it's all about. You got to read turkeys, understand what they want, see how they're reacting, watch their body language, their behavior, and then translate that. Figure out what they want, and then give it to them. And don't forget about those non-traditional, those unconventional tactics, like taking a wing. You're sitting there and you've got a wing, and you're scratching the leaves like a hen that's feeding through the woods. That's a great late season call, even though you're not using a turkey call. As for decoying in the late season, I usually always take the subtle approach because it's really hard to adjust your decoying during the late season. You can't see a bird out in the field and see how he's reacting to your decoy and then run out there and change your decoy. It's not like it is with the calling. So I'm almost always subtle and very low-key with my decoying in the late season. In the late season, when it comes to decoying, put a hen out, a single feeding hen or a standing hen, alert hen. Pair two hens out there, but I do not use male decoys in the late season. Turkeys are more apt to shy away from a Jake or tom decoy in that late season just because they don't like the confrontation or they don't want the confrontation. Something we also have to remember is a lot of times birds want to group back up. You get really late in the season, and sometimes toms, they don't care about the hens. They just want to get back with the boys. They want the gang back together, so to speak. So when it comes to that, if you see a bird out there, if you see a tom and he's doing that 3-note tom yelp, he's wanting to get back with the boys. One last thing to remember about the late season, those birds, those gobblers didn't eat much during the breeding season. So if you're in the late season, remember that. A lot of times, birds just want to eat. Target the food. Deer hunt those turkeys. You know, it's not as fun, you know, setting up and waiting and bushwhacking them like that, but, you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So if you're having trouble in the late season, they're not responding to calls, target food instead. So focus on those birds, call to them, and just wait them out. Just wait them out and give them some time.